Welcome to the UK Niner podcast, part of the Across the Pond Sports Network. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Walker and Neil Baldock.
What's up, everybody? We're back here on the UK Niner podcast in association with the Across the Pond Sports Network. I'm Matt Walker, your host, along with my longtime buddy, Neil Baldock, over in Seattle. How's it going, Neil?
It's all good, man. How are you? Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, thank you very much. Is it Father's Day in the States?
It is. We have
Okay,
different days for the Mother's Days, but Father's Days are the same.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know why.
Warm out there? Because it's sweltering here.
It's getting warm. Yeah, there's a heat advisory dropping in the next few days. So football practice for my kid is going to get a little warm, and obviously with the World Cup in Seattle as well. So, yeah, but all good, man. All good.
Excellent. Right. If you've joined us before, then thank you so much for joining us again. If you haven't, if it's your first time, then again, thank you. We're looking forward to a really great show. But before we kick off, we've just started doing a little feature called Name That Niner, where Neil has to try and guess a particular Niner based on his pro team. So, Neil, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I know you're not ready.
Hey, I got it last week.
Easy last week. A little bit tricky this week, but you'll still get it. Here we go.
Name that Niner.
Here it is then, Neil. Take a look at this.
Okay.
Niners from 96 to 2003, so drafted by the Niners.
Niners, Eagles, Cowboys. Wow, that's a lot of teams.
It is a lot of teams.
And the FCF Zappers? What's
Zappers.
FCF stand for?
I don't know, as well as the Allen Wranglers in 2012. Those asterisks denote that they were just practice squads at the time, and even with the Seahawks in 2012, they're only on the practice squad.
I don't know. I'm not even sure. Yeah, I don't even know what FCF stands for.
I wouldn't worry. Don't worry too much about the Zappers. Focus on the early years.
This is interesting. Let me think. Oh, dude, I can't.
I can give you a position if you want a position.
Yeah, go on.
Receiver.
No.
Big time receiver.
Is this T.O.?
It is. It is T.O.
It is?
It is T.O. I didn't know about the Allen Wranglers and the FCF Zappers, and like you say, I have no idea what they are. When we get our guest on later, he may be able to help us out with that, because I know he's the fountain of all knowledge. But yeah, so that's
know what this is? This is kind of the thing. Like, it was the same as last week with Dion, right? The first 3 or 4, you go, oh yeah, I know it, and then the other ones, they push you away from the answer. If you know what I mean. That's good though, man. That was a good one.
Don't remember the Bengals in 2010.
No, yeah. Okay, cool.
All right.
Anyway.
Like it. Okay, then.
Like That's good, man.
So, well, I'll give you 2 for 2. You got last week's. I'll give you 2 for 2. That's no problem.
Yeah.
All right.
Where's it going, though, is the question.
They're going to get progressively more difficult. Right. Let's crack on.
First quarter.
First quarter, as always, is our Niner Nuggets, our news section for the week. So, Neil, what we got for us this week?
Well, I thought it was interesting. You dropped me a note the other day about the rise of the 49ers that's coming up. I don't know if it's just started over there. And I hadn't heard too much about it over here. It's on like a random streaming channel. But yeah, it looks like it's like a 4-part documentary, I think, narrated by Tom Brady, going through the Niners and how it went, like, I guess from the team of the 80s and through the early 90s. But it looks pretty good. And I don't know, I've not seen it yet. Have you seen it? Is it good?
I started watching it just last night, actually. I just stumbled across it, I think, earlier this week, that it was on ITVX over here. Other channels are available. And as a result, just dipped into it. And it, like you say, it was just lovely. Episode 1 is all about the early years, as you can imagine, and the fact when Eddie DeBartolo Jr. took over and the original general manager that they had there, and what a mistake that was. And then when they brought in Bill Walsh, and it was all the early years like that. But it's actually the style of it's really, really nice. So it's not just a highlight reel. It digs into the genius of Bill Walsh and how he set the Niners on that path to what they became, and the fact that Eddie D came in not knowing anything about football at all, and the huge risk, but how he approached and how he changed the role of general managers in the NFL as well. So yeah, it does look like it looks like it's going to be a good watch. I'm probably going to stick episode 2 on a little bit later tonight after this.
Yeah, I think I'll download it. I got a flight coming up next week, so I think I'll maybe download it for the plane journey, and we can talk about it after we've watched it. But yeah, it looks interesting. Appreciate the heads up. And then Lots of chat about old Max Crosby to the Niners. I think this is obviously in response to the Myles Garrett trade, obviously. But it sounds like we're in a little bit of a head-to-head with the old Eagles, as usually the case. And then, but yeah, I mean, obviously this would be a huge move. I think we can afford it. We've got the capital to do it. And obviously pairing him with Bosa. I mean, while he's recovering from his ACL, so that's crazy. I just don't know if it's going to happen. I just don't know if because I know he failed that medical right before when he was going to go to the other trade. And yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's the only thing. I mean, obviously the Baltimore went to be going to the Ravens, and that all fell through because of is that failed medical, and even giving up. So therefore, that failed medical may well bring the price down a little bit to what we've got to shell out for Crosby. But like you've said, I think the fact that the Rams have done what they've done, and we'll come on to this now with the speculation of Aaron Donald possibly coming back. We'll talk about it a little bit more. But if they put that extra edge back in there as well, we talked about it last week about the Niners. Do they try and keep up with the Rams? And is the Max Crosby trade? We talked about Joey Bosa and linking those two up. But is the Max Crosby idea, or can we afford, like you say, can we afford not only from capital in terms of money, but equally it's going to take another player as well. Can we afford to do that and then have the money available in the next few years to restructure people who we need to?
Yeah, and it looks like the cost will be a first and a second, or at least a first and a player. But this is the kind of thing that I want to see the team go for. I don't want a Joey Bosa, whatever. It's cool. It's a cute story. His mom will be happy. But but really on this, you're getting a proper player, proper bookend. I think it'd be, really good. And then, yeah, I mean, let's just pivot straight to Aaron Donald. We'll get back to the other thing in a minute. But yeah, his former teammate, Michael Brockers, has come out and saying he's ready to go. He's in shape. And he's looking to come back. His first game in over 1,000 days, right, or something. He's been out. And then they're talking about the week one opener. I don't know if it'll be like that. But Sean McVay and Les Snead, the GM for the Rams, they both declined to comment. So it wasn't a quick no, don't worry about it. It was I don't know if this is a thing or not. I'm just hoping it's not. Because let's just face it, Niners do not want to be playing Donald and Garrett twice a year. That's a line.
Like we mentioned about the Mike Evans, even if Mike Evans isn't as productive as he once was, and he probably won't be as productive, you've still got to account for him. And that's the same with Aaron Donald. You got Myles Garrett one and you got Aaron Donald in the middle, whatever. You've got to account for him. And therefore that's just weakening everything else you can do then to take care of Myles Garrett. I'm with you. Let's just hope that this is just all pie in the sky and doesn't happen. Because the rich just get richer, even if it is just by name. Move on quickly. I'm going to come back to our weekly feature in a minute. Ed McCaffrey. Ed McCaffrey's not happy about CMC not necessarily playing that much, is he?
Yeah, I saw this. This is kind of funny. I just was trawling the net, as you do, looking for something interesting. And old Ed McCaffrey, so that's CMC's dad, he had a little comment to a reporter, and basically he mentioned that a coach's job is to win. You can rest your players if you want, but if you lose, the NFL does stand for not for long. So it sounds to me like CMC's dad, he wants him to play as much as possible. I mean, obviously we all do, but we also understand we've got to balance his workload. Hopefully with the backups in Jordan James and Black as well coming in, the rookie, we do balance it, and maybe just let's keep his dad happy by putting him in there for the big plays when we need him. But yeah, I just thought it was an interesting little take. I was quite surprised, but hey, that's why they're all great players in their own right? So
absolutely. And if the likes of Christian Kirk and Mike Evans do play out to be more productive, that could naturally take a little bit of workload off CMC as well. So rather than actually saying you need to come off, you can still be in there, but the ball's going elsewhere on this particular play just to stop that attritional factor on him. So again, another interesting one to watch and see how the Niners respond to that. And finally, our weekly Kittle Watch feature. What's Kittle been up to this week, Neil? Anything good?
He's just been chilling, I think. He's been watching the World Cup. I liked his little tweet after the US beat Paraguay 4-1, asking the question, 4 is good, right? And yeah, we all know it's good, George. But yeah, he's been having a good time. He's been just doing his thing as usual. And then just a little bit more chat about his Achilles recovery. So looks like, again, he's hoping for week 1 in Australia. But I think with that being the international game, they'll probably hold it back for that one. But yeah, just sounds like Georgia's enjoying the World Cup like the rest of us.
And it has been a spectacular week for a number of reasons. We're going to touch on it a little bit later, but I think we do pretty well in that first quarter to get news like this out of during the off season, buddy.
Yeah. It's going to be nice when the season starts. It's going to be a lot easier. But yeah, I think there's always going to be good stuff and training camps around the corner. Obviously, the NFC West is probably the best division of football, so there's lots to talk about. So yeah, good quarter.
Good work, my man. Right, let's move straight on.
Second quarter.
So we kind of had the precursor last week to the main event, with all due respect to Vice President Paul Hope, who was a fantastic first guest for us. But now I'm thrilled to say that we can welcome the main man of the 49ers Faithful UK fan club. It is El Presidente himself. Please give a very warm welcome to Mr. Lee Gowland.
Hey, fellas, how are you doing?
We're good, buddy. How are you?
I am fine. And don't be too worried about the red face. It's just quite warm in the northeast of England today. It's very unusual. It feels as though the last few shows I've done, it's been really hot in the UK at the time, and my face is just bright red. And it didn't help that I spent 6 hours in the garden yesterday doing some work.
I tell you what, I think the contrast of that hat, because that hat's so light as well, it makes your face look a little more red. But loving that hat.
Yeah,
when
you know
are they
what?
available?
Yeah.
Hopefully they're going to be available soon. We've been trying to get this off the ground now for 2 seasons.
Okay.
So we've had these hats since early last year. They were sent out as samples, and it's a group over in the US that are doing this. There's a couple of them on the East Coast, there's one on the West Coast, and it's just trying to get the times to align so we can do a show and we can introduce people to them, and then get the range out there. Excellent. I do have a few samples left, which I'm going to put out to the group, to anybody that wants to buy one. But yeah, hopefully it'll be coming soon.
Excellent.
It is a cool hat. It is a cool hat. It caught my eye straight away.
You need one of those out in Seattle, buddy. You really do.
There we go.
Anyway, we've kind of jumped the gun a little bit. This is Lee. We're so thrilled to have him on. El Presidente of the 49er Faithful UK fan club. So, Lee, let's get to know you a little bit. How did you get into not only the NFL, well, not only the president role, but the Niners to start with, and where did that go? So tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so let's start off with how I got into the NFL. I saw, it felt like a 20-second clip on a local TV broadcast station back in the early 80s, probably the late 70s. And they showed the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. And the only reason I think they showed that was because Dallas, the show, was quite popular at the time in the UK. And what drew me to the San Francisco 49ers was the fact that I was seeing this team playing red and white, and I was quite young at the time, and I saw the gold helmets and actually thought they were made of gold, and I just thought, wow, that's really cool, that. And watching the game, it just intrigued me. It was nothing like I was used to, because I was always into football, rugby, cricket, athletics, because I was that way inclined when I was young. And I just loved all sorts of sports. I kind of lived for sports, so much so that my parents were called into school one day by my English teacher and said, "We've got a problem with Lee. All he thinks about is football." So that was me. So I saw this game, I was intrigued by it, and I thought I need to learn more about this. But unfortunately, in the early 80s in the UK, it was very difficult to find anything to do with that. So I was taking books out of the library and reading books about American football, but there was no real broadcast. Had to listen to it on Armed Forces Radio. Luckily enough, my elder brother introduced us to Armed Forces Radio, because he knew I was into American football, and he said, "Why don't you try this? You might be able to get a broadcast on a Sunday night." And I tried that, and it worked. So that was great. And it wasn't until probably 82, 83, when Channel 4 took it on, that I was able to watch the highlights, albeit a week late. And then the very first Super Bowl I got to see, I had to record on VHS because I was at school the next day, and it just happened to be the year after Super Bowl 16, so it was Super Bowl 17 when the Washington Redskins won. But I would watch that game over and over, purely because it was a Super Bowl game. So much so it kind of wore out the VHS tape. And they became my team. I followed them through a publication in the UK called First Down. It was kind of a paper-based paper, essentially paper-based magazine.
It was.
You always ended up with ink all over your hands. It was that type of 80s type of publication. But that's how I was able to follow the game. That, watching Armed Forces Radio, listening to Armed Forces Radio, and then obviously Channel 4. So straight away I became a 49ers fan. I was lucky to watch them through the team of the 80s, albeit the first live actual Super Bowl I saw was Super Bowl 23. Yeah. So again, Super Bowl 19, that was recorded. That was on VHS. I had to watch that one as I got in from school. So 23 was the first one I was actually stayed up and watched live, which was such an experience. And I've always been a 49ers fan since then. I've been through some really good years. I've been through some really, really garbage years. And it does test your faithfulness to the team. It does. And I've enjoyed every single minute of it. I wouldn't change it for the world. Am I more NFL fan than I'm going to call it soccer? Than soccer? I would say no, because I'm a diehard Sunderland fan as well. But there's not much between them. I probably spend more on the NFL than what I do watching Sunderland. So, that kind of tells the story there. I love them both just as much.
Excellent. It sounds like Lee, we've kind of led mirror lives, because everything you're saying about the first. I don't mind saying I'm 51. I'm not going to ask your age, but I kind of feel like we're a similar age. And I very much remember kind of the first down, the armed forces, and I know Neil's the same, because we grew up together like as Niners fans in Nottingham. And that first Super Bowl I watched live was 23. I remember sitting on my bed with my mum. My mum stayed up and watched it with me. And I remember that I just had a tingle down my spine thinking now about that last drive, the 92-yard drive in Montana to Taylor to finish it all. And, prior to that, I was very similar to you, recorded Super Bowl 19. The first Super Bowl I watched, actually recorded, was 20, was the Bears and the Patriots. And like you say, then living through the 80s, which was, and me and Neil said on a previous pod, we were spoiled, weren't we? The 80s, Niners get to a Super Bowl, you win it. We get to the postseason more often than not. This is easy. So then, on that Super Bowl 47 against the Ravens, after all the Chip Kelly years and all the rubbish in between, you kind of like, well, we're at the Super Bowl, we're going to win it. And then not to win the last three has almost just been, it is, as a faithful for so long, well, I'm now almost of the opinion, like, if we get to a Super Bowl, are we going to win it? Not we can win it. But again, Neil and I, we've said this in previous pods, we are so faithful. And when people criticize what John Lynch and Kyle are doing, we're kind of like, no, we trust them. We've got to trust them. They're in that role for a reason. And okay, the media guys go, oh no, Mike Evans is over the hill and this, that, and Kalen Black, what a reach. But you've got to try and trust that system. And in my opinion, that's what a faithful should be.
Yeah, definitely. Kalen Black's a very good example. I was not liking that pick whatsoever. I did not like it. But now I've seen his highlights, the way he looks, he's like a cross between Frank Gore and Marshawn Lynch. Yeah. So I'm really excited about how he's going to do in our offense. The reason I didn't like it, by the way, and you've mentioned it in your first segment there, when you mentioned Ed McCaffrey, I thought, what was the point of taking a running back when he's not going to get a single snap? Because it's going to be CMC. As long as CMC has two legs, he's going to be he's going to be in the backfield there. So that's why I didn't like it, because I thought it was a high pick for somebody that we're not going to really use that much. I thought we had different needs that we could have spent that pick on. But I'm ready to be proven wrong. I can't wait to see the kid play.
I think that's the same with us. I think our viewpoint was it was just a bit of a reach. We could have probably got him a bit later on. Yeah. But I just want to go back quickly, because again, the same thing when you were describing getting into it. That's exactly how I remember still to this day. Thursday morning news agents was first down. But I think that's what helps us develop that core foundation as well, because you had to go and find it and spend the time, right? It wasn't just presented on a plate like it is now. Like, you had to go and source all your information. I remember, and I still these memories of going to school on a Monday morning, being absolutely exhausted after staying up for the Super Bowl, teachers getting mad at me. But it's just so interesting hearing. Obviously, we're all similar age, but it's so cool to hear. And we said similar things last week. But going back to the next thing is like, the draft this year was interesting for us. I didn't think we got all the ones we wanted or the picks we could have done with, and but it does look like Black is the one, and Stribling as well. That was another reason we thought, but he's looking great as well.
Right.
Yeah,
Let's get in. Oh, go on. Sorry, I was going to say let's get into that a little bit more because I'm more interested right now. I'm sorry, Neil, to jump in, but
No,
obviously I'm more interested in the fact we've got the president of the UK, the 49er Faithful UK on. How did that come about, Lee?
Okay, so I joined the group. So the group was actually started back in 2010 by a member that's no longer with us. Sorry, when I say no longer with us, he's still alive. At least I think he's still alive. He's just not. He's just not on social media. He kind of walked away from it all. I joined early 2023, and I think it was within three to 6 months I became an admin, because I could see that they could do with a hand, trying to process all the different join requests. So I volunteered and said, I'm happy to do this. I've got plenty of time to do this. So I became an admin in 2023. There was a bit of a split in the group in 2015. And when that split happened, basically the founder turned around and said, look, you take over, do whatever you want with it. I'm out of here. I'm leaving social media. So I found the whole admin team had basically left and went up and set up a different group. It was left with me and Wayne Humphrey to basically look after it. And what I wanted to do was basically keep that core group together, because we'd all met up. We were all friends. And I thought, what a shame for this to like fall by the wayside. So I thought, right, I'll take it on and I'll try and continue what the other guys were trying to do, which was centralize the group. It soon became obvious to me that that was not going to work, because you can't keep everybody happy all the time. You're always going to upset somebody. And then I start thinking, well, what am I trying to achieve here? Do I really want to centralise all 49er fans in the UK? Is that a realistic goal? And I thought, no, it's not. So what I really want to do is create a community of like-minded people who look at the game the same way, want to communicate about the game the same way. So that's how I morphed away from centralising it to creating a group where you can start getting, and people hate this word, but clicky. Because if you can get clicky, what that really means is you're really friendly with a small group of particular people. And if you do that, that then presents you the opportunity to be able to go to San Francisco and share hotel costs. Whereas in the past, you might not have been able to afford to do that to yourself. So it provides this opportunity. And if like the clicks are local clicks, you've got somebody to go and watch the game with on a Sunday night. Because the worst thing is sat by yourself on a night thinking, am I the only person doing this? Especially when it's a red-eye game. So that's when I changed the whole ethos of what the group was going to be. And to do that, it took a lot of time. I decided that I wasn't going to continue with the group the way it was. We had 3,500 members. A lot of them were deactivated members, so they weren't actually on Facebook anymore. And then there was a lot that were inactive. So you had your deactivated ones which had gone, and your inactive who just didn't do anything with the group. So I went through them, because Facebook was quite good in those days, giving you the statistics, showing you who was active, who wasn't. And I started culling the group. So I went from 3,500 members and I removed everybody that wasn't active. And it went down to like 750 to 800. So it was like, wow, am I doing the right thing here? But the engagement level, when we had those 3,500 users, was between 13 and 15% engagement in the group. And that was terrible. So I wanted to try and spike that, get that up. So over the years, it gradually started to increase again, to the point where we now just under 4,000 members, but we regularly have over 85% engagement levels.
Wow.
So we've gone from people not engaging to looking at every single post that goes in there and either liking it or commenting on it, and it's promoting this atmosphere that I wanted to promote, this community. Everybody enjoys talking about football. We kind of cut down on the negative side. We said, look, you can criticise the team all you want. We encourage you to criticise the team, but you have to do it in a constructive manner. You can't just turn around and say, that player's rubbish, and then leave it at that. Well, what do you mean? What about him is not to your liking? What can he improve on? Is this something that he can improve on? Is something the coaching can do something with? Or do we just need to trade that player away, cut our losses, and bring somebody else in who can do a better job? That type of thing. So that's how I started going through with the group, getting the engagement up. Then I started with the meetups, getting people together in the off season, during the season. We had a draft meetup in Manchester back in 2018, which was the very first time I met Paul. We've had I think we've had a couple of draft meetups now. We'd start to have Super Bowl meetups, regardless of whether or not we were in the Super Bowl. It's the pinnacle of the season. Everybody wants to watch the Super Bowl. Everybody's going to take the next day off anyway. So we started having that up in Newcastle because the vast majority of people who travelled anywhere were from the Northeast. So I thought, well, you know what? We have in-season meetups round the country. Why don't we have the Super Bowl one in Newcastle? Because obviously it was costing me a lot of money. It was costing everybody else from the Northeast who were travelling to these places a lot of money. So that's how we started out with the whole Super Bowl meetup, and it started to snowball. I started speaking to the 49ers all the way back in 2017. So I was handed over the contact details for the then fan engagement person, which was Brandon Moreno, and Brandon didn't really reach out much. I would send him emails, not really get much of a response, but then he changed. So Nick Clark came in, I think it was late 2015, so not long after I started, late 2015, early 2016, and Nick would engage straight away. So we'd email each other backwards and forwards. I'd let him know when we had members going out, and when we went out. So back in 2017, I said, look, Nick, there's me, my older brother who's a Vikings fan, but we don't talk about that. My nephew, Ben, who's a member of the group, and David Ellicott, my mate from Doncaster or Asken, who I only met back in 2013 when I went to Candlestick. So I reached out to Nick and said, look, is there anything you can do for us? And he said, yeah, why don't you come down to the stadium and I'll give you a private tour. I thought, brilliant. So we did this on day 2. So day 1 was effectively our travelling day. Day 2, hopped straight on the Caltrain on the way down to Levi's. So as we were on the Caltrain, I'm emailing Nick saying, we're on our way down. We should be in there for about 10 past 10, quarter past 10. And he emailed back saying, look, really sorry, but I've had a family emergency. I'm not actually going to be at work today, but I will sort you out with somebody else. So just go into security, tell them who you are, and tell them that you're here to see, God, what you call him? I should remember this name because I've got him on Facebook as a friend. His name escapes me, but he worked in the office, and he took us around and gave us a really good private tour. So afterwards, there was a pub as part of Levi Stadium. Trying to think of what you call that now. Can't quite remember, but there's a bar. So we went to the bar, we had some food, a couple of drinks, and we just sat, the 4 of us, and Keena Turner walked in. And I didn't notice him at first, and he went over to the bar, and David said, I think that's Keena Turner over there. And he was just doing this, and I looked over. I was like, yeah, you're right, it is. Why don't you go over and speak to him? And David was like, no, there's no way I'm doing that. So me, straight up, over, introduced myself, told him why we were there, who we were like part of and everything like that. And he says, that's great. And I told him the whole story about the fact that we were supposed to get a private tour with Nick. Unfortunately, Nick had to ring in work and say he couldn't come in because of family emergency. Didn't mention we'd actually had a private tour with somebody else. Just like told him that story. And he turned around and he says, look, if you guys can come back on Friday, I will take you on a private tour of the stadium and then show you out back to the SAP training facility. I thought, champion. Well, we were coming back anyway because it was not Good Friday, Black Friday. Okay. Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, and everything was cheap anyway. And we'd only just come out of the stadium store, and the Earl of Levi's, so this guy called Earl that works there, and we call him the Earl of Levi's. He said, look, guys, if you come back on Friday, don't say anything, but it's going to be a lot cheaper anyway, and I can give you staff discount as well. So we came back and obviously did the private tour with Keena. It was unbelievable. He took us around the museum, pointed everything out. We videoed it all. I've got it on YouTube, vlogged it all. He took us into the SAP training facility. We met Guy McIntyre and Paris Harrelson. He gave us woolly knits programs. He gave us all sorts of different little things. He gave us like the media pack that media teams get, and it was such a great day. We met Gareth Selleck, Trent Brown. Trent Brown was an absolute mountain of a man, and we thought, could this day possibly get any better? So after we did that, we thought, right, let's go and see Earl in the store now. So we went in, and between me, David Ellicott, and my nephew Ben, we probably dropped about $3,500 on merchandise. Honestly, it was like something off Sex in the City, when Carrie's walking out with bags and bags of like designer goods. That's what we walking around, like 5-6 bags in each hand. And this guy collared David, and he says, "Hey, you boys look as though you've had a really good day today." So David started talking to him, and straight away, as soon as the Yorkshire accent came out, he said, "Oh, you're not from round here." So David got talking to him, and he explained it all. So the guy turned around and said, "Oh, that's absolutely amazing. I can't believe you've come all this way just to watch the NFL. I tell you what, do you have tickets for the game already?" We said, yeah. He said, "Okay then. If you meet me at Intel Gate A on Sunday, I'll sort you out some sort of concession to like say thank you for coming over." So we're like, fantastic. We're going to get like burger and chips or free of charge. And like, really good this. So we'd been into the Red Zone Rally because we had tailgating tickets for that, which is the official 49ers tailgate. That was quite good. And then we were told to meet, you call him Larry Jordan. He told us to meet him at Intel Gate in a certain time. So we went over there expecting burger, pint. Walked in, he says, "All right, come over here, guys. Right, show us your tickets on your phones." So we all showed the tickets on the phones. He said, "Right, I'm going to give you these wristbands and these ticket slips. These ticket slips will get you into anywhere in the stadium. Anywhere you guys want to go, this will get you in there. I'm going to put you up in the Levi's 501 Club, which is where the players' families watch the game." So we didn't have seats, but you could just stand there with a pint, right on the edge. It was about halfway up the stadium. Brilliant view, smack bang on the halfway line. So we thought, this is unbelievable. Could this get any better? Well, guess what? It can. So we'd been having some pints. I mean, this was my third visit to Levi's, and this was like 2017. So we'd only been open 4 seasons. This was the 4th season, and I said to David, do you want to have a wander around? Let's find out what this pass can actually do. He says, yeah. So I said, "Oh, Ben, now Steve, you guys watch it for up here. Take it all in," because it was his very first visit to San Francisco. "Take it all in. Enjoy it." We were there more about the experience rather than the game. So me and David decided we'd go and walk around. So we went down into the ground floor where you've got the BNY Club, which is like kind of an executive type club. So we went in there, got in there, no problem. Thought, this is really good, isn't it? And then we saw some opening doors to the field right behind the Seahawks bench, and we wandered over and we thought, I wonder if we can get in here. So we walked over and the guy stopped us and he says, "Can I see your tickets, guys?" So we showed him these tickets. He said, "Oh, sorry, you can't get in here. Those tickets aren't for this bit." And we're like, "Oh, we absolutely gutted." And then this other guy came up because he overheard. He says, "Are you guys from the UK?" We said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, that's brilliant." He says, you say things different to us." I said, "Like, what do you mean?" He says, "Like aluminum. You don't say aluminum, do you?" We said, No, we don't. He says, "Do us a favour. If you say it how you say it, I will let you two guys go through." So this guy was in charge of security in this executive area. So I said, "Aluminium." He was absolutely creased. He loved it just because I said aluminium and not aluminum. So he said to the guy that stopped us, he says, "Look, these lads can go anywhere they want." So we ended up smack bang behind the bench, the Seahawks bench, within like arm's reach of Pete Carroll, Richard Sherman, the lot of them. So we got on the big screen and all sorts down there. And the guy that stopped us, I now meet him every time I go out to San Francisco.
Okay.
So he's a member of the group now.
Wow.
And he was a member of a group beforehand, but he hadn't realised who we were. He hadn't recognised us.
Okay.
So we got to do that. And it just got better and better the way the day went on. It was just absolutely amazing. So, I mean, got to meet Keena Turner, thought that was brilliant. Got to meet some of the current players at the time, thought that was brilliant. We were handed merchandise free of charge. I thought, God, this is great. And then we get these tickets, and then we get let field side. And it was just such an overwhelming day. I mean, again, I've vlogged it all. I'd had a lot to drink that day, and I could have easily have edited out my breakdown, my overview of what the day had been, because you could see I was warm. I was very warm that day. And I'm walking down, and I was drained, and you can see I'm drained. It was an emotionally draining day for me.
I bet. Yeah.
More so for David, because he'd actually lost his grandmother the day before. He travelled up to the northeast so we could fly out. So he had all this pent up grief, and it was just an outlet for him as well. And it was just such an amazing trip. And
Wow.
every time I go across there, and I don't know, David was right, because he says it on the vlog. He says, "Blag it, guys, just blag it."
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we do. Not consciously, though. We don't do it consciously, going out to get stuff. And it just ends up being such an amazing trip. We've had so many experiences out there. And I think it's because the Americans appreciate us going out there. They really, really enjoy speaking to the English. Well, not just the English, the British. They just can't get over the fact we would travel like 5,500, 6,000 miles to watch an NFL game. They are absolutely gobsmacked. And they'll bend over backwards to do anything for you. And they're such friendly people. It's brilliant.
We
So
didn't have
that was kind of, sorry, that was kind of how I grew into the president role. The whole moniker president came in 2019 when we were watching the New Orleans Saints game up in Edinburgh. And a couple had come in from New Orleans, newly married, there on their honeymoon. And I thought, right, I'll buy them a drink, because I thought we were going to be rowdy and I thought it might spoil their night. I thought, let's preempt this. Let's get them warmed up there. So I bought them both a glass of champagne. I thought, right, how do I introduce myself? Because they don't use the term admin over in the States. It's always either president or vice president. And at the time, I didn't call myself president. I thought we were an admin team. Everybody's exactly the same. I just thought, they asked, so what do you do? I lead the group. I said, oh, so like a president? I said, yeah, like the president of the group. And then they mentioned it to somebody else within the group, and they thought it was hilarious. So they all started calling us El Presidente from that moment on. And I've got to say, I felt really, really uncomfortable about it for a good 3 years. It just didn't sit right with us. But then I kind of grew into it. But it wasn't the kind of, oh, look at me, I'm El Presidente.
No.
I just thought, yeah, I'll just, everybody calls us it. I'll just run with it. And I'm happy to run with that. And that's how the El Presidente came about.
That's amazing. I say, listening to your story about when you went that 2017 trip, I mean, we felt similar. We didn't have half the day you had, but when we went out in December 2024, I mentioned I got in touch with the fan engagement team prior to going out there, and they hooked us up with the stadium tour for no extra cost. And walked us to the front of the queue, past everybody. That was quite a nice thing. Then they organised the sideline passes pre-game, which again was lovely. And then Lawrence Scott, I think it's Lawrence Scott, isn't it?
Yeah, it
so
is
he
Lawrence
then
Scott.
Sort of tapped me on the back of the shoulder. Are you the guys from the UK? Would you mind if we did a short film with you?
Yeah.
And it's like you say, and it does really feel that they do appreciate. And even when we were sat watching the game, then in the lower bowl area, everybody around us, you from the UK, that's amazing, coming out here. So yeah, I completely echo everything that you've said. It's wonderful.
So I remember when you went out, because you reached out for a contact to put you in touch. And
Yes.
I remember at the time I said, look, I can't give you a contact, but if you give us your email, I will email them, tell them exactly what you're doing, and then they get in touch with you, because they are very, very guarded about doing anything like that. There is so many different rules that we have to follow about what we can announce, who we can pass details to, what type of person are they, because we have to vouch for the person that we're putting in touch with them, that type of thing. Because obviously you could put them in touch with the wrong person and it would go all wrong, and so you can't do that way. But as soon as we spoke, I think it was Lawrence I actually sent you details to, because I thought, you know what, this will be a really good social media opportunity here. And I've known Lawrence since I think 2022. And he's absolutely spot on, Lawrence. So I was out in Pittsburgh at the draft this year with Lawrence, and Lawrence really integrated himself within the group that was out there. Because there was me, there was the 3 German lads. One of them was the National Fan of the Year. The other 2 were companions. Paul should have been with me, but unfortunately couldn't. So luckily enough, I was meeting a friend from New Jersey. So I was able to transfer Paul's ticket into the inner circle to Nick. So me and Nick kind of went in together. So the 5 of us and Lawrence, we spent the full 4 days together. So if we weren't at the draft, we were all together, either eating lunch in the bar, drinking after the draft, going to clubs, that type of thing. And he's really, really great guy.
Yeah.
When I got to the airport to come home, all of the other international fans of the year from all the different teams were there. I knew a few of them because I'd met them before at the likes of London watch parties, London International Series game. We've had joint parties with the Chiefs. So Brad Simcox, I knew Brad. I knew the guys from the Vikings purely because my brother's a Vikings fan. And one of the Vikings guys is actually a Sunderland fan as well. So we got talking, and the amount of people that came up to me and said, your guy Lawrence, he is absolutely amazing. Yeah. We didn't get anything like that. We didn't get any sort of interaction from our people who do the social media marketing side like that.
Okay.
He is unbelievable. He kind of made our trip, never mind your trip, because Lawrence was helping everybody out, because everybody other fan engagement or marketing people kind of went missing and just let them do whatever they were there to do, whereas Lawrence made it an experience.
Yeah,
to me, it wouldn't have been as good without Lawrence. I mean, I think it was day 2. Yeah, day 2. He said, "Look, what are you doing for lunch? I fancy getting out of Pittsburgh, and I know this place. It's been like on American TV. I'm trying to think. It's a famous chef who owns this place." He says, "Do you want to go there? It's up in a place called Squirrel Hill." So me and Lawrence just jumped in an Uber. Off we went to this cafe, and we had some food up there. Food, a little bit drink, and then we got back in time for us to do our relevant things. And it was just such a good experience talking to Lawrence and finding out about Lawrence's life, how he got into sports, social media, and marketing stuff. And hopefully, one day I'll get him on the show so I can go through his life story, because he is such an interesting guy, and he's so passionate about what he does.
It came across that way when we were out there. Yeah, it was phenomenal. Now, you mentioned about obviously the draft in 2017, but tell us a little bit about this.
Oh, yes.
With the 172nd pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Samuel Womack, defensive back, Toledo. Bang, bang, Niner gang!
So that was an absolutely amazing experience. It came completely out of the blue. Literally 3 weeks before the NFL Draft, Nick Clark reached out to me and Paul via, I can't remember if it was via the Twitter account or via Instagram, and said, "Look, can you guys come over to the draft in Vegas and represent the UK fan base?" And I mean, it was something I wasn't going to give up. So I said, yeah. Unfortunately, Paul couldn't. Paul had done his Achilles, so he couldn't fly. So Najee was able to step up. Gareth couldn't because it was too short notice for Gareth. So me and Najee moved heaven and earth to try and like get the money to get out there. Because one thing that a lot of people don't realise, because they think they paid for us to go out there, we had to pay for our own flights and our own hotel. So what the 49ers did is basically get us into the inner circle, which was a big deal anyway. But we had to cover the cost for that at such short notice, so the prices were kind of sky high. So we did that, and we went out, and the expectation was, you're going to be there, you're going to represent the UK, have your flags, and that's it. You're going to have a day at the NFL Draft, because they give us a choice as well. So look, you can either have day 1 tickets or day 2 tickets. Which one do you want? Well, we didn't have a pick in day 1, so what's the point in being there? So we said, we'll do day 2, and then day 1, we just ended up finding a bar at the Planet Hollywood kind of place, and met up with Kim Sorensen from the Danish Faithful, and we sat and watched day 1 in there. Day 1 started out quite interesting. So I'd been messaging Jeff Reinbold for quite a while now, and I just happened to message him and say, "Look, Jeff, we're in Vegas. Do you want to meet up, have a pint, talk some football sometime?" He says, "That's brilliant." He says, "I'm staying in the Bellagio. Any chance you can pop across and meet up with us like 8:30 on the morning of day 1, and we can have a bit of a chat?" So we went across, and he basically did an interview. I don't think the interview was too long. I think it was only 3 or 4 minutes. But he interviewed us in the reception for the Bellagio, which was good. We give our breakdown of who we would have picked had we had a day 1 pick. And then that went up under his socials. Now, at the time, we were trying to keep it quiet. Nobody knew we were out there. And funnily enough, Kim Sorensen had been messaging me, asking me about stuff to do with the draft. And I had to keep it quiet that I was going to be there with him. So I didn't tell him. And then Jeff Reinbold went and interviewed us and then outed us on his channel. So nobody knew, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, everybody knows now, because we were going to go live from the draft theatre, and like, surprise, we hit the draft theatre. But it kind of outed us, which was fine, to be honest, because I was getting a little bit nervous about how that was going to work anyway. So day one started off really well. Day two, we got into the actual inner circle. We were at front row right in front of the stage, because it was the 49ers' turn to be in that front row block. And again, the expectation was, just enjoy yourself, guys. Watch the draft, take it all in, and do whatever. So we did, and Nick's there giving it the whole rah-rah bit, getting us all excited every time a pick comes in. And we kind of made it on TV quite a few times, because we're like going absolutely mental. And as soon as the cameras cut away, me and Nadja would look at each other and say, who on earth's that we just picked? Never heard of that. But looking at us, we're like, yeah, it's the one we wanted. And then we were like, oh, I've never heard of this guy. Oh, God, we were straight on the phone, Googling it. Oh, actually, they don't look too bad. So it was kind of funny in that respect. And then it got to the end of day two. And it was a tiring day, to be fair. And Nick came up and said, look, do you guys want to come back tomorrow? I'll get you tickets in exactly the same place, because we've got spare tickets for day three. And we're like, well, we're in Vegas. We may as well come back. We've got nothing else spoiling, do we? So we thought, yeah, we'll come back. And then Nick turned to me and he says, can you do me a favour tomorrow? I said, yeah, anything, Nick. I mean, you've getting us into the draft twice here. I'll do anything you want to do. Champion, can you get up on stage and announce one of our draft picks?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, why not? I'd love to do that. So that's how it came about. I didn't have much notice at all. This was literally like 5:30, 6 o'clock on the evening, late afternoon, early evening of the end of day two. So I had less than 24 hours to even process what I'd just been asked to do. So off we went, had some food, got ready for the next morning. And because it was day three, it starts a lot earlier. So day two and day one didn't start until 6 o'clock in the evening. Day two, I think it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Day three, over in the States, because it was Vegas and they were already behind, they actually started at 9 o'clock in the morning. So we were there from 9 o'clock. I didn't get to make the pick, the Sammy Womack pick, until I think it was 1:45, 1:15, because it was getting late. So then I went up, and the big worry for me was, is it going to be a Samoan name? If it's going to be a Samoan or a Hawaiian name, the double vowels, it's going to be a nightmare. But Nadji turned around and said, look, don't worry about it. Remember what Jeff Reinbold said to us. The NFL never do something they're not going to be successful with. So they'll have a plan in place to do that. And sure enough, although I didn't need it, but I saw some of the other cards that came out, and it was spelt phonetically.
Yeah.
So it was dead easy to say. So then my card came out, and that was an experience, because they take you behind the stage, you go past the green room, you go past the place where they're printing all the jerseys. They've got the whole printing press there. You've then got the press area and the bit where some of the players move into before they come out on stage. And then they've got this secret room that's guarded by two like bouncers, bodyguards. That's where the printing is done for the cards. That's where the information comes in. So just off that room, I think there was maybe 6, 7 of us all queued waiting to go. So they get you out quite early before your pick. And it got to me being the next in line. I'm speaking to the stage manager, and she turns on and says, look, this is what's going to happen. In a couple of minutes, somebody's going to come along with a card with the pick on. You will read that card to me. I will make sure it's okay, you've got the pronunciation okay, and then what we'll do is we'll get you up onto the stage there. So the card came out, I took a look at it, I thought, oh, you beauty. I can say that, that's no problem whatsoever.
That's an easy one.
So straight away, I relaxed. I thought, great, right, what am I going to say? So she said, look, read through the card for us, read through it. She says, do it again, read through it a second time. She says, one more time for us. Read through it the third time. Says, right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to count from 5. Once I get to 3, I'm going to tap you on the shoulder and you just walk out. So the 5 wasn't for me. The 5 was for the broadcast cameras. So she's counting down, got to 3, tapped us on the shoulder, and off I went. So I walked out, and luckily enough, I'd been there days, all day too, because I could hear them all booing. Every time a fan got up, they all booed, and nobody booed louder than the Cardinals fans, right? So I'm walking out there up to the pedestal, got it on there, read it, looked at the Cardinals fans and like bang, bang, 9 again, pointed at them. Turned around to walk off, and you've got the Raiders house band there over in the corner, and the guy that was on the drums, he just flipped his drums and he started applauding like that. He said, nailed it. And off I went. And then that's when it became overwhelming, because as soon as I got back to where Nadji was, because I didn't have my phone at the time, because you can't take your phone, you can't take anything electronic, you have to give it all in. So Nadji had all that stuff. So I got back to Nadji, and as soon as I got my phone, there was over 100 messages there. And just picking it off him, it was just buzzing constantly, buzz. And I was going through all the messages, and Nadji says, right, put your phone away, put it on silent, forget about it, let's enjoy the rest of the day, because you're going to go mental trying to do that. So I did, because you could see it was becoming overwhelming because of the amount of messages coming through. So I left that as it was. And we had every intention of leaving after I'd done the pick, because, like I said, it'd been a long day. We were hungry, we were thirsty, and we were looking at our watches, and we both made the decision, you know what, let's just stay. Let's just stay, see through, see Mr. Irrelevant picked, and then we'll go and get some food. So luckily enough, as it turns out, was the best decision we'd made, because obviously Mr. Irrelevant that year was Brock Purdy.
It was Brock, yeah.
So the whole Mr. Irrelevant pick takes an extraordinarily long time to do, because of the whole pomp and circumstance behind the whole thing. So we're coming up, and Nadji's like, who do you think we're going to pick? I says, I don't know a name, but I can guarantee you it's going to be quarterback. I can guarantee you it's going to be quarterback. And he turned around and said, no way, we're picking a quarterback here. I says, trust us. Sure enough, it was a quarterback. And I wouldn't care. As soon as the name came out, I thought, I can't believe it. I wish I'd said that now. I wish I'd said what I was thinking, because I was going to say Brock Purdy.
Oh, really?
I was going to say Brock Purdy, but I named the position, and I wish I'd said Brock Purdy at the time as well.
Wow.
And it was such an experience again. We saw the moment he was drafted, and it was just so good. So good. And that was the 22 NFL draft. And I thought that experience, obviously getting up, doing the draft pick, something I will never, ever forget. It was such an experience. My 15 minutes of fame. That's what that was. Everybody will have something in their lifetime where they'll do something and everybody remembers it. And that, for me, that was my experience. But if I'm honest, the Pittsburgh draft for me, I enjoyed more.
Oh, wow.
I enjoyed more because of Lawrence Scott. Lawrence Scott made us all feel included, and as though we were part of the 49er organization. We did everything together, and it felt to me to be a better experience there, which sounds strange because I didn't get up on stage. I didn't have any of the kind of 15 minutes of fame. I was just there enjoying it, and it just felt to be such a great experience, and I'll never ever forget that. And I'll never ever forget the three German lads, David, Lucas and Lars. We still talk to them. Actually, I'm going out to the Dallas Cowboys game. David runs the, let's get this name right, 49er, no, is it Niner Empire Germany? Niner Empire Germany, that's it, NEG. He runs that. So he's put me in touch with a group of their members that are going out to the Dallas Cowboys game. So now there's going to be, I think, 25 to 30 of us all going to a rodeo on the Friday night together.
Oh, wow.
So we've got Niner Empire Germany and 49er Faithful UK joined together watching a rodeo in Fort Worth.
That'd be
sounds amazing. That does sound amazing. The way you speak about all those experiences, Lee, it's spine tingling, and you just bring it all to life. And I must say, when I watched you, because I remember watching you do the Samuel Womack pick back then, and it kind of just made me go, "Well, I could do that." There's a British lad reading how to draft me. Why couldn't I? And there's probably no chance in the future, but you are an inspiration for people of our age who have been following the Niners as long as we have. So it was an incredible thing to watch.
Yeah, it does. Like I said, it's going to live with us forever.
And then, am I right though? Did you? I remember you then kind of starting or championing the Sammy Womack fan club in the UK then for the next year or so.
Yeah. I mean, I still believe Sammy Womack could have been a brilliant cornerback. And I think he fell foul of the whole Shanahan thing with rookies, or where somebody says something out of place and he suddenly thinks, you're not playing on my team. I mean, that last Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, we were absolutely crying out for a decent special teams player. And Sammy Womack was by far our best special teams player at the time. And he didn't get a sniff in. He wasn't even on the active roster that day, I don't think. And it's such a sad thing to happen. But, I mean, since then, he's just bounced about teams. He did well at the Colts. He had that initial spurt where I think he was ranked something like top 5 in cornerbacks by PFF. But again, he was just coming on every so often. He was a nickel back. He had a couple of interceptions. Probably his nickel, maybe he's not his best position. He used to play outside for Toledo. He's still in the league. He's playing for the Jets now. I still keep track of him, finding out what he's doing. But it's just one of those things. He didn't work out for the 49ers, as do a few players. They don't work out. I think the one thing that really, really annoyed me when we got rid of him, so we released him, I think it was 2 years ago, and we kept Ambry Thomas. And then we put Ambry Thomas on, I don't know if it was PUP or IR. I think it might be in IR for a bit.
Yeah.
And then he didn't play another game, Ambry Thomas, and we got rid of him. Thought, well, why didn't we keep Sammy Womack? We could have kept Sammy Womack. Special teams player.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, now, I've got 5 jerseys, 5 Womack jerseys.
Have you?
I have.
Brilliant.
I love it.
I'm not going to say they're all kosher, mind.
No, well.
So some of them might have been made in the Far East.
Now, it's wonderful, just moving on again, it's wonderful having Paul on last week, and we spoke a little bit about this season, the watch party, and lo and behold, as if by magic, knowing that you were coming on this week, then 49er Faithful UK have announced this year's watch party.
Let's go.
Yes, I am really looking forward to that. I'm glad this year they have finally listened to what I've been telling them for the past 3 years. You have to announce it early to give people an opportunity to be able to get cheap travel, cheap hotels, because I mean, I think last year you got a week and a half's notice for the game,
right?
And then they flexed the game. The NFL flexed the game, so they've listened, they've took it on board, and we've announced it early, which is brilliant. I mean, it's so early this time. Train tickets aren't even out yet.
No, I know. I've had a look.
It's brilliant.
And I spoke to Paul last week. It works. I'm a teacher, so when you said about taking the Monday off after the Super Bowl, I can never do that, because if I take the Monday off after the Super Bowl, I can't book it off, and if I'm off ill, everyone knows why I'm off. So so that's a real struggle. It's a real struggle for me as a teacher. But this one falls right bang slap at the Sunday night of half term. So I'm going to be coming to the first ever time I've been able to make a watch party, because again, in previous years, being a teacher, it's been tough for me to get. So my hotel's booked already. I am so excited, and to the point where Neil and I have discussed Neil even trying to come over from the States.
Yeah. It's just I'm just trying to work out times. You know, it's difficult. Like, you have issues getting over here. It's the same thing, me going over there, right? But, but still, I mean, and a good like East Coast game. That's good, right? As well, good times for you guys to watch.
It's a great time. Obviously, it's smack bang in the middle of the clock changes, so we're going to get a 5 o'clock kickoff. Nice early finish.
Yeah.
But I say again, Neil, you were talking, when we were talking to Paul last week, you kind of didn't really know all this existed out here, did you?
No, not so much. No, because you kind of come over, you move over here, you move to the States, right? West Coast. You're just in it, and it's very similar, I would say, how you guys just watch Premier League back home in the UK, right? You just watch your teams go. Like here, you just NFL's everywhere. You have ESPN, NFL Network. All the games are on live. You know, there's so many friends just watching different things. Like, it's just like watching your hometown team. But then when you hear how much effort is going in back in the UK for this, it's so cool to hear. And listening to Paul last week and now you this week, Lee, it's just amazing. And I could listen to these stories all day long. It's so interesting. It's just amazing.
I had a glance up at the clock a minute ago, Neil, and I was like, "Oh my word!" But I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. Can you tell us anything more about the watch party? I know it's very early, Lee, and I know that we don't want to drop any sort of exclusives out here, but what can you tell us?
Yeah, so we're still looking to get the alumni nailed down. Obviously, there's a process in that. We have to reach out to them, find out whether or not they're willing to come across, trying to find out if there's anybody already over in the UK, because that makes it much easier, and also trying to get somebody that would interact with the crowd. I think Paul mentioned on the show last week, we were kind of spoiled a little bit with Joe Staley because Joe was absolutely excellent. He took photographs with everyone. He signed everybody's stuff. He got straight in the middle of us. And at the time, we didn't have a real VIP area. Whereas at the Goldwood, we've got like another level where with the VIP areas. So there will be VIP tickets on again this year. Whether or not it's a different type of format, I don't know. I discussed that with Lawrence when we were over in Pittsburgh. I had some ideas about how we could do it slightly differently to give more people an opportunity to go up into the VIP area. The VIP tickets will go on at exactly the same time as general admission. General admission it has historically been free. I'm expecting it to be free this time. I haven't been told that though, so I don't know. That might change. I would expect it to be free. The VIP ticket, I think last year cost £50. We had Marquise Goodwin. He was absolutely spot on. We got him doing fireball shots with us. He must have liked those because he did 5 rounds with us in the space of 1 hour, as well as having a few pints as well. He was a great guy. So yeah, alumni isn't quite nailed down yet. We don't have the links to the tickets. We're waiting for them to come through. Members of the 49er Faithful UK get first dibs at them. So when we get the links through, the only place those links will be is in our private group chats. So the likes of Discord, we've got a Discord channel for those that don't do Facebook, and within the Facebook group. So that's the only places you'll be able to get those links. So prioritizes our group, and it's kind of a thank you for basically doing all the legwork at setting up these venues and looking for these venues, that type of thing. I would hope that I think the doors are going to be open all day long, so we'll be able to watch the Paris game in the Goldwood. Last year, what we did was we kind of kicked everybody out about an hour and a half before it was due to start, got them to line up outside, just so we can get that social media of the queues, because that's the type of thing they like to do with the invasions. We have discussed that this year, whether or not we're going to do that. I don't think there's a firm decision on whether or not we will do that, because it does cause some sort of issues, to be honest. But again, those challenges we've made known, and hopefully we'll have a mitigation in place for those challenges where people kind of lost their seats that they've been in all day. So we're trying to make it as inclusive as possible. The good thing about it being a 5 o'clock kickoff is I'm kind of hoping that people with kids younger than 16 get to attend, because effectively it's a private event. The 49ers kind of book out that area. It's a private ticketed event. So I'm kind of hoping, because it starts at 5, it's going to be finished before 9, we can have younger kids in there. I know in previous years they've said, yeah, over 16s after 9 o'clock only, which was okay. I mean, because it was a private event last year, we didn't get finished until midnight, but there was still like 16 to 18-year-olds in there. So I'm kind of hoping that does that, because it makes it easier for those that struggle to get childcare.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's your take, Lee, on the watch party curse? Because obviously when there've been watch parties on in the past, we've not been overly successful with the results.
Right. Okay. So, given what you said before we went before we started recording about language, I'm going to keep it clear. I think it's baloney. Baloney is the best I will say. It's funny, you know, the first one we won was one where Paul was the first one Paul couldn't get to.
Okay.
And that was the Lions NFC champ. Yeah, that was the Lions NFC championship game. So we all started pointing our fingers at Paul, saying, "You're the curse, Paul. If there's a curse, it's you." But yeah, it's just really unfortunate. It is. It's just incredibly unfortunate, because what me and Paul did was we said, look, forget about the watch party curse, because there's not just the official 49er watch parties. We've been having meetups for years. And when you take in all those meetups where we all get together and watch the game, we've got a better W column than we've got an L column.
Okay.
So there's no curse. There's no curse.
Just like there's no Madden curse.
Just like there's no Madden curse. We actually did a show on that, you know, and it worked out that more often than enough, the cover athlete did have a stinking season.
Yeah, well, we did it. We did a segment, one of our halftime segments a few weeks back. I had to blind rank. Neil gave me a list of athletes, of cover athletes. I had to blind rank who I thought was the Madden curse was worse for. But like you say, when you look through them, there have been more often than not, those cover athletes have had a rough year afterwards.
They have. They certainly have. But then again, I mean, isn't that logic?
It is.
You see an athlete having an amazing year, which is why they go on the cover. What's the chances they're going to keep up that amazing year again? They're always going to have a bit of a downtrend, aren't they?
And that is exactly what Neil. But that was a point
you
that
got to
Neil
have
made.
regression to the norm, right?
But it's
exactly.
But I suppose it's those athletes that kind of suffer career-ending injuries after it, or certain bits and bobs like that, where you kind of go, well, that could happen on any year. But anyway, just a bit of fun. But I tell you what, Lee, I could listen to you, like Neil said, I could listen to you all night doing this. But I'm conscious of time, and we're not even at the half yet. This is like a Super Bowl, that's just gone on, and there's been advert after advert.
I did warn you.
You did.
You did.
But again, like I say, I wouldn't have it any other way. So thank you for that insight, and I say, and from us, everything you've done, and like you've said about all the the expense, both from time and financial, that you put into this to make it the community that it is, and in my opinion, it's just going to continue going from strength to strength. So from two faithful UK faithful to El Presidente, thank you for everything you do, my man.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's move on then, because it's time for a little bit of
Halftime.
Okay, Neil, here we go then. It's your slot this week. Talk us through what the deal is here.
Oh, hang on. Oh, got an alert on my laptop. Oh, yeah. All I did was just I'll just talk, because doing a lot of talk about the 80th year, that kind of thing. So I thought it might be fun just to have a look at. I played one on social media the other day. I thought, who's missing from the team? It was a World Cup thing. So I thought, let's do it for this, halftime thing, halftime challenge. So I've sent you some graphics.
Yeah.
So
let's throw the first one up.
All I want to know is who's the player that's missing? Should be able to get the first one pretty easy, and their college, if you can get it. So
this is Super Bowl 16. Oh well, come on. If no one gets that top one, then we all need to literally leave this podcast forever.
Forever.
Yeah. So obviously Montana and Notre Dame. Yeah, I'm going with that one. I'll take the easy one. Receivers then, Super Bowl 16, Lee. Go for it.
Taylor. John Taylor.
No.
I don't think it was.
John Taylor wasn't in the first one.
Dwight Clark.
Yes.
So Dwight's one.
God, I should have went with the obvious one.
What college is Dwight? Oh, Freddie Solomon. Freddie Solomon?
Freddie Solomon?
Freddie Solomon is the man. Yes.
Right. But college-wise, what college was Dwight? Oh, man.
You don't have to get the colleges, man. The colleges are tricky. But
Clemson.
if you got him.
Was he Clemson?
It was Clemson.
Is that Dwight?
That's Dwight.
Yeah.
Freddie Solomon. Freddie Solomon wasn't Miami, was he?
No, but he was Florida.
Yeah, he was Florida.
He went to University of Tampa that doesn't even exist anymore. That was an interesting thing. But yeah, good shout. I mean, I thought that one was pretty good, a pretty easy one. And then this next one.
Here we go.
Okay, just the two missing on this one.
Super Bowl 19.
I'm definitely pretty sure you're going to get the linebacker pretty quick.
Well, yeah, Keena Turner.
There we go.
Colin Purdue.
I've got you'd expect you to know that. I've got the cornerback because this is the one.
Yeah.
This is the early in his career, so this is Ronnie Lott.
Yes. Yeah. College. You know his college.
USC.
Right?
USC. Yeah. So there you go. Because a little bit of a trick there, Neil, putting Ronnie at corner rather than because obviously he's predominantly known for safety.
I thought I might catch you, but yeah, I'm dealing with pros on this. Right, it's all good.
This is not our first rodeo, mate. And the final one. So Super Bowl. What have we got? 19. Same one. I've thrown the same one up.
That was easy now.
Bear with me. Yeah. Right. That means I've just got to dip in because I've put that same one up twice. Bear with me 1 second. Just need to find that back in my archive. So we're looking at.
Yeah, I went back and looked at some of the Ronnie Lott stuff, and he was like, he made the Pro Bowl as a corner.
I think, Neil.
Yeah.
I've messed this up. I think this is the same one again.
Don't worry about
the same one again. Go on, just tell us, mate. What were they? Can you remember what they were?
Yeah, so it was. I was looking for. It was the 1994 Niners. So it was I was looking at Ken Norton Jr.
Super Bowl 29.
Yeah. Gary Plummer and then Deion Sanders with the two players missing. But that's all good.
Okay, that's my bad.
Do you want a random question?
Let's do it.
Which two 49er players have Pro Bowled at two separate positions?
Leo Nomaloni. I'm pretty sure. No?
not the
No?
one I'm thinking of. I've got
okay.
two. I think it's only two players that have Pro Bowled at two separate positions while playing for the 49ers. I could be wrong. I think it's only
Did
two.
Jesse Saputo get it as left guard
He
and
did,
center?
yes. Yeah.
That's
And you've
mine,
already
Matt.
mentioned the other one.
Ronnie then.
Yeah, Ronnie.
Oh, yeah. Ronnie. There we go.
Fair play. Good. Right, we need you on every week at halftime, Neil.
Knowledge.
Lee, if nothing else. If
Knowledge.
nothing else, every just to throw a random question for us.
No, actually, I tell you. So in quarter one, you mentioned the Allen Wranglers. That's an indoor football league. That's an indoor football league. Yeah, they no longer exist. Well, they do exist, but they're not called the Allen Wranglers anymore. I think it's Texas Revolution.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough. Good stuff. Right. Happy with that. I like that, Neil. I'm sorry I didn't have that last graphic, but
All right. I'll make it harder next time.
yeah, all right. Well, it's my turn
That's
next week
bees.
anyway. Right, let's move on. Here we go.
Third quarter.
So into the third quarter we go, and it's our nostalgia segment. It's all about the 80th anniversary. So last week with Paul, we had a look through an all-time offense. And this week we've asked the lads to try and put together their all-time Niners defense. Now, earlier in the week, Lee got in touch and he went, right, are you looking for individual players or are you looking for kind of one whole unit? And if you're looking for that, you kind of know where I'm going with this. And like I said to him, we had different aspects last week, didn't we, Neil? We Paul was kind of going with if I put this player and this player together, if they'd have ever been able to play together, they would have been an incredible matchup. But I think we've possibly gone with individual players this week. I think all three of us. So these are our picks. And actually, we're pretty much, I think, they're just in slightly different orders. But if you look at the D line in general, Lee and I have gone completely the same. Bosa, Smith, Bryant Young, and Leo Nomolini. And then you've gone similar, but with Charles Haley in there.
Yeah. I really liked, obviously, Nomolini, obviously, a Hall of Famer. But I wanted to make sure I got Haley in a true pass rush position, which also freed up Dave Wilcox to get in at linebacker. That's why I went that way.
No, that's fair enough. Fair enough. And again, me and you spoke about this, Neil. I found this harder than the offense because of the amount of, the D line, the linebackers particularly, that particular section. To be able to just pick 4 and 3, I think is doing a lot of disservice to a number of other real high caliber players. But again, Lee and I matched on the linebackers, and you explained why that Wilcox is in there, because to get Charles Haley in at the end. Your thoughts at all, Lee, on those front 7?
Okay, so Bryant Young is the one that I would have dropped had we went with the 3-4 defense and or 4-3 defense. Because had we gone with the 3-4, I'd have had Bosa, Smith, and Nomolini there. But then, believe it or not, I would have been very, very tempted to go with Alden Smith as another outside linebacker, because his first 2 seasons were just incredible. I mean, it's fitting. Oh, I'm saying it's fitting just because he's just passed away, but he was such a talent. I really wish he'd been able to develop into the player that he could have been. Obviously, exercise his demons and continue playing for the 49ers, because he was unbelievable. Watching him play, his arms were incredibly long. I've never seen arms as long as that. And the flexibility of him, he was like a rubber band. He was able to get around offensive tackles just by bending around them. And I would have loved to have seen him hit his peak with the 49ers. And I think having Haley and Alden Smith there as linebackers, and then the pass rush you've got with Bosa, Smith, and Nomolini, that would have been incredible to watch that.
It
that
really
would have
would.
been incredible.
We mentioned it last week about Alden Smith. He still holds the NFL record for the most sacks in the first 2 seasons of anyone's career. And as you mentioned, it unfortunately, yes, it's a sad time for him and his family, but you're right. If those demons that so many of these young players fall foul to, I just think he would have been absolutely next level. You'd have been talking about him in the same sort of context, if not more, than the Myles Garrett type player. But yeah, but phenomenal. Yeah, incredible. Then cornerbacks. Then.
Yeah, Well, I just was like, how can you? He had the single greatest once, I know it was one season, but he had the single greatest cornerback season as a Niner that's ever been. Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, and it was a tough decision. Not gonna lie. I was speaking to Matt beforehand. I was gonna go, let's put him in at nickel, but that's never gonna work. So I went for Johnson and Sanders, and you two went for Johnson and Wright. So, but again, just another, just like the wealth at that position is so good.
Go for it, Lee.
Yeah, so it was the one season that did it for me. That's why I didn't make my cut. And I was already comfortable with both Jimmy Johnson and Eric Wright. And I just seem to have this, I don't know, hatred is a big word. It's a harsh word. But I can't stand Deion Sanders. I just can't stand him, honestly. Nickel, I would have went with K1 Williams. That's who I had in my mind. But because it wasn't on that list, I completely forgot about nickel slot, but K1 Williams. I could have said Sammy Womack, but that'd have been going for me homeboy. K1 Williams, yeah. But Eric Wright, such a nice person to speak to. I met him back in 2022, the day before the Dolphins game, which happened to be Jimmy Garoppolo's last game. So that game back in 2017, when we got into the Levi's 501 club and down pitch side, field side, that was Jimmy's first game. I was there for Jimmy's first game and Jimmy's last game.
Wow.
But the day before, I just happened to be lucky to meet Eric Wright, John Taylor, and Jed York at an event just north of Santa Clara. So we were talking to Eric and saying, look, how intimidating was it being part of that defense when you've got the likes of Ronnie Lott there, and you've got all these high draft picks, and you're expected to go in there and play with them. And he said it sharpened him. Iron sharpens iron. He says every day I was looking at how good I have to be to actually maintain this and stay in the team. And I think, to be honest, I mean, everybody talks about the catch as being the pivotal moment of that game, of basically our franchise. This is what started that role, that team in the 80s. Everybody forgets on that very next play for the Cowboys going down, not the very next series, the Cowboys trying to get down there to score the points. If it wasn't for Eric Wright making that last-ditch tackle, that's it. We wouldn't have been there. It'd have been a completely different history. So I think for me, that was one of the things I remember most about that game. Obviously, I didn't watch it live, but when I've watched full game replays, that was the thing that stood out. Because I saw that after the catch thing, we were close to losing that.
Yeah, we were.
If he'd never made that tackle, that was it. That was all gone. And it's kind of the butterfly effect. How would he have turned out? Would we still be like the Buffalo Bills, looking for our very first Super Bowl? So I thought that was great. And he was such a nice person to speak to, as was John Taylor. In fact, John Taylor was the one that I've said to the 49ers, if you can get John Taylor across as the alumni, he would fit in perfectly, because he has this energy about him, this, I'm going to say childlike energy, because he's so excitable. He wants to talk about his career. He wants to tell you all about it, because he was as invested as what we were. He was like being a fan while he was a player. Wow. That's what he comes across as. Yeah. He would see all these people around the locker room, and he'd look at them in awe, thinking, I can't believe I'm in here playing with the likes of Joe Montana, Jerry Rice. And he's such an infectious, positive person. I really hope we get him. I don't think we will, because John Taylor's a big name.
Well, I was going to say,
but, I mean,
if we do, Lee, that would make my day. I used to play back in, I used to play junior football here, and I wore 82 because of John Taylor. I didn't want to take number 80 purely because there was an element of me where I kind of wanted almost to make my own name, but I had to choose number, and it was because of that Super Bowl 23 that I wore 82. So if Taylor was over here in October, oh my word. So you know, but yeah, like you say, it just seems that he was that kind of real down to earth, everyday guy in a room of superstars.
Yeah, my enduring memory of John, outside of the stories that he was telling, was the size of his hands. Yeah. They were unnaturally large hands. You know the term, hands like bin lids. That's what this looked like. I saw his hands and I thought, yeah, it's no wonder he never dropped a catch with hands as big as that. Honestly, I've got a photo and he's got his arms draped over the group, and you can see how big his hands on there, and it's like, I can't believe those are real hands. Those are massive.
That's so cool.
And then finally, just finishing off, there's no question about free safety. We can gloss over that, the one and only Ronnie Knott. But then we've both gone Tim McDonald and you've gone Merton Hanks. Interesting.
I have. Yeah, I had a soft spot for Merton Hanks, and it's going to be ridiculous, but purely because of his name. I thought the name Merton Hanks was good. Obviously, he was a great player. He was a great player, and there was very, very little to choose between Tim McDonald and Merton Hanks.
Yeah.
I just loved that name.
and his rubberneck celebration. You love the rubberneck celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a player. And actually, I had Merton Hanks down for a long time, and I was like, and then the last couple of days, I just flipped it over to Tim. But I think all of these defenses are just,
like we said with last week, like we said with the offense last week, Neil. You know, we were so lucky growing up in the era we did, and then to. You know, even now, the last sort of 6-7 years, there are people. We've got Bosa on there amongst other people, and Fred, and you know, and that's without Navarro Bowman, and you know, potentially, Dre Greenlaw. You know, I'd put Dre Greenlaw up there as well. But but we are just blessed. And you think of franchises like, unfortunately, the Jets and the Cardinals, and people who have just been in the doldrums for decades. We are such a lucky. Fan base to be able to have seen all this caliber of players over the last sort of 40 years that we've been watching them.
You know what? You make a very good point there. You look at those teams and you hear other fans, neutrals. I mean, we're effectively neutrals as far as the Jets are concerned, the Browns are concerned, some other franchises like that. I mean, the Raiders have had some success. The Raiders had their success a long time ago. But then you look at you try and think, well, why aren't they achieving what other people are achieving? And you look at the ownership, and we all turn around and say, well, look at the owners. The Jets owner, he's absolutely garbage. The Browns owner, Jesus Christ. Let them coach, let them bring in the players they want. Yeah. Yet, when we have our success, you don't hear anybody turn around and say, you know what, Jed York's done a really good job. He said what he was going to do. He stepped back and he's left it all up to Shanahan and Lynch. Yeah. He did what he said. I mean, when he first came on board, everybody blamed him for going down for Levi Stadium. That wasn't his decision. That had already been signed by his parents. They did that deal. He came in. He had to oversee that move, but he got all the grief for that move. Whereas all he had to do was oversee it. It was already signed. It was already made. And then he had those initial few years where he made some really poor choices, where he's got Trent Baalke squawking in the background there. So we ended up with the likes of Jim Tom Sula, which was dreadful. Chip Kelly, which was dreadful. But then he put his he put his trust in Shanahan and Lynch, and he turned round when he did that and said, I'm going to take a back seat here. I'm going to let these guys run this franchise. And he has done that. And the only time he stepped in is over the last couple of years when the contracts have been getting out of hand a little bit, like say the Ayuk contract. We've been paying some players too much, and he must have thought, I need to step in here and just kind of put my foot down. And I think that's a good thing. I think he's matured as an owner. I think he's done all the right things. I think some of the things where you probably debate that are not right is around the whole tailgating, the whole fan aspect, where I can definitely sympathise with our American faithful friends over in California who can't do certain things. But the way he's doing it on the field, or the way he's stepping back and letting everybody else do it, he's doing it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Right, good stuff. Always good to talk about those defenses of the past and those all-time greats. So without further ado, let's look to the future and head into the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter.
So the last few weeks, we've been doing a little bit of a roster breakdown about what we've currently got and what we may have come the 53-man roster when it's time to decide on that. And this week, because of Sammy Womack and because of Lee Gowland, we're going to the current 49ers DB room. So this is currently what we have with us at the moment. And we've this is the projected start. I've got this from a couple of different sources. But the projected starters you can see down there on the left-hand side, Renato Green, Jair Brown, Malik Mustafa, Demo, and Upton Stout at nickel. And then with what we've got left in the building, I kind of just interested in both your guys' take on who's going to be there. Is that starting five going to be the starting five? What are your thoughts on the DB room? Because I think personally, and I know I've got a feeling you both agree this is one of the places that we should have addressed in the draft and maybe didn't, and that might have dropped the ball on that place. Do you want to start us off, Neil?
Yeah, I'll just jump in and then lead us. Yeah, feel free. But yeah, I think we're pretty solid. I think Green, Lenore, and Mustafa, I think they're good. They're solid B players, right? Maybe a bit more. But I'm really worried about Brown. I think this is a make or break year for him. And then Stout needs to. I mean, Stout's got great upside, but right now he's still not the best, especially against who we're playing with in the West. And then obviously Jack Jones and Ephesians Prysock. We love that name. There's another name for you, Lee.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's a pretty good room. But yeah, like you said, I think we should have addressed it in the draft.
So I'm going to be a bit controversial here. I don't think J.R. Brown will be on our roster come the start of the season. I think we may trade him. And I think it'll all depend on how Ashton Davis does in camp. Because I was quite high on Ashton Davis coming out of college. I kind of hoped we'd have taken him. We've got him now. If he plays well enough in camp, I think we might look to trade J.R. Brown. He's in a contract year. He hasn't been the most consistent player. Sometimes he can absolutely light it up. Other times he goes missing and gets absolutely burned. I think potentially Marcus Siegel might be that strong safety. I think it could be Green, Siegel, Mustafa, Lenore, Stout. We're definitely going to keep Ephesians Prysock on the team because it was draft pick. We're not going to let him go into the practice squad. Nate Hobbs, we've signed him as, I'm not going to say one of our marquee free agents, but did we trade for him or did we sign him as a free agent?
Nate Hobbs was... I've got down here because I've got a color coded down here, and the color code I've got from this particular site says 2026 free agent or trade acquisition.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a feeling that might have been a later on trade acquisition. I think
it was
Nate Hobbs.
I think it
was. So
I
think Hobbs we keep, Prysock we keep. Obviously Siegel we definitely keep, and Ashton Davis. It all depends on how if he's good enough. If we think you know what he can do a job, then I feel as though we might even trade J.R. Brown. Looking at next year's draft depth, the strength of the draft looks unbelievable. So the more draft picks we can get for next year, the better it's going to be. And
Absolutely.
Then Darrell Luter Jr., you would normally say, well, he's good for special teams, but you know what? He's had some issues on special teams. Super Bowl. He's okay. Is he good enough to keep? I don't know. I think you're right, Neil. I think we've got a really strong group there. It's going to be a shame because there's going to be somebody who we let go, try to get him back on the practice squad, and he's going to go the likes of Darrell Luter Jr. If he doesn't make the 53, I don't think we get him on the practice squad. I think he goes off to the likes of Tennessee Titans, which could be where J.R. Brown goes.
Yeah, with
I kind of agree, Lee. I think Brown obviously is the weakest. His communication isn't strong, and I was looking at possible trades that we could make. And the Saints have what's his name, Julian Blackman, right? He's there now. He was down as their starter last year, but they've made some moves. He's probably going to be like a backup over there now, and he's not be a big splash for the team, I don't think, but he could bring a bit of starting experience back there and upgrade over Brown. But all in all, yeah, I think it's probably one of the weakest. Secondary is probably one of the weakest units on the team this year.
Like you said, you both said about Ashton Davis. Unfortunately, Davis was at the Jets, and we talked about the way the Jets organization operates, and I don't think they get the best out of any of their players there. So a fresh start for Davis. Training camp comes around, and I'm similar. Out of that projected starting five, I think Brown is on the hot seat, definitely. So Siegler will be there as well. I think Nate Hobbs is an upgrade, definitely from what we did have. Prysock obviously as a rookie is going to be there as well. But yes, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Ashton Davis can come in and do under a new fresh start with Raheem Morris and the gang. But yeah, interesting. But I agree. It's not a bad room, but I agree it's probably the weakest room that we've got on our roster at this time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's just like it's a really good depth. I think that's the biggest thing in this one. We've got depth in it this time, but I just don't see any like A+ players in there anymore. And I kind of did a little thing against how do they match up against the Seahawks and the Rams as well? I took a little dig at that a little bit. And against the Seahawks, it's not too bad. But against the Rams, this is not the players and the type of players that you need. You really need strong communication across that field. And that's where they're kind of lacking. So hopefully Raheem Morris can do something about that. You know, it's a good new coordinator. So we'll see. And we'll be a little bit more aggressive with the pressure, I think, with him in it. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
So one thing I would say about that is remember we had the same defensive back room in the 2020 season when we got to the Super Bowl as we did the season before, and I think we ranked something like 28th, 29th defensively. We were absolutely shocking at cornerback, and we were saying we need to replace these guys. We need to get better people, and we didn't replace anyone. What we did do, we brought in Nick Bosa, and because we suddenly had a pass rush, the cornerbacks looked unbeatable.
That's true.
And I think that's what's going to happen this year. I think what we've invested in this defensive line again, and the fact that Bosa's coming back off an injury, so we're actually going to have a pass rush this year, I think those guys are going to look a hell of a lot better than what they did last season. I think it's going to be a lot easier for them because they're not going to have to track for as long as what they did this season.
Yeah.
No.
The quarterback had way too much time to throw the ball.
So let's go full circle to where we started off in the first quarter before you came on with us, Lee. What's your take on the Max Crosby situation based on the fact that any upgrade there is going to help the secondary?
Well, we can't afford him next season. We just don't have the cap for the next 2 years. We need to try and excuse me, just get a drink.
No worries.
But you're right. He's right. It's the exact same thing, right? It's like it goes hand in hand, right? You spend less time with the ball in your hand and like the quarterback there. You don't tracking those receivers as long. So yeah, it would be an interesting, but like we said as well, it's the cap space and also like we said, the draft capital you'd have to get up to get in anyway.
Exactly. That's it. We don't have the draft capital. We don't have the cap space. I'd love them, but we just can't do it.
What about Joey Bosa then?
Joey Bosa should be cheap. I mean, he's a free agent. Nobody's biting at him to take the wage that he wants. I think he would be attracted to playing on the same team as Joey Bosa. Why wouldn't he be? He said the right things in the press, saying, well, I'm not going to give anybody a cut price deal. The closer it gets to the season, he's going to give somebody a cut price deal, and that cut price deal is going to be with the 49ers.
There you go.
Yeah, well, you've heard it here first from El Presidente himself. And if it doesn't have, he called quarterback for Mr. Irrelevant, and he was going to call Brock Purdy, so he was right on that. Joey Bosa will be a Niner come September. Right, guys, let's just very quickly dip into OT.
Overtime.
And we've just got one little bit of non-Niner news. Antonio Freeman, wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Neil, he's come up in the news again in the sporting world, but in a different way.
Yeah, he's you may remember he scored one of the most famous touchdowns in Super Bowl history for the Packers, but his son Alex, he just scored a goal for the United States against Australia in Seattle. So I had to trawl around actually. There's not much cross-pollination between World Cup soccer players and NFL players. Zach Ertz, his wife Julie played for the women's team, but but I thought it was a little cool little thing, and it was nice to hear, even in the World Cup broadcast, some NFL mentions. So so I thought I'd mention it in this pod because it was just interesting to me. That's what was pretty cool.
Nice little tidbit to finish on. Great stuff. Lee, you have the floor now, if you wish. Is there anything else you want to say to my mum and Neil's mum, because they're probably the only two people watching right now?
Well, Mrs. Walker and Mrs. Baldock, your sons are great. Your sons are great. I'm very grateful that they've allowed me to come on their show and basically talk about my life as a 49ers fan. It's been exciting. I love talking 49ers football. And like I said, I mean, some of the trips I've had, the memories last a lifetime. And I'm just so fortunate that I can share those memories with so many friends. Obviously, 2023, when we took the gold mine, 40s. It was brilliant. So all I'd say is, keep doing what you're doing, guys. Love the graphics, and it's been a pleasure being on the show.
Well, thank you ever so much. It's been genuinely, it's been an honour. I can't wait to meet you in person down in London in October. Fingers crossed we can get Neil over as well. Lee, we need to get Neil a flag. I'm going to hit you up again just to remind me how we get flags, but we need to get Neil a flag out there. But I say, Neil, it's been great as ever. The longest one we've done. They call this one a marathon show, episode 9.
But felt one of the shortest.
It did.
Such a good time, Lee. Thank you so much.
No problem.
And I say, Lee, you've just got such a lovely, that Northeast accent as well. It's so mellow and beautiful to listen to. I might start a Lee Gowland, a Flackers fan club. But gents, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. If you are still watching, thank you for joining us. Thanks once again to El Presidente of the 49er Faithful UK fan club for joining us on episode 9. We will do it all again, same time, same channel next week. Have a good week, everybody. Stay cool if you can. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.